This is the January 3rd, 2017 meeting of the Rowley Conservation Commission. This meeting of the Rowley Conservation Commission is hereby called to order under authority of MGL Chapter 131, Section 40, the Town of Rowley's Wetlands Protection Bylaw, and the Stormwater Management and Erosion Control Bylaw. I'll now call the roll for attendance. Dave DeMonico.
Here.
Bob Garner.
Here.
Judy Keys.
Here.
Sam Strife is absent. Arthur Page.
Here.
Kurt Turner.
Here.
Howard Vogel.
Here.
We have a quorum present, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Administrative?
Yes, we do. Let me just get And we have a request for authorization of the payroll. And for your review is our hours sheet of the staff. Isn't that nice to say that? Staff. And then a request for signing of some reimbursements, starting off with some office supplies. And this is the backup invoice for you to initial on that. This is another reimbursement under the notice of intent monies for postage. Some days and order commissions. And this is the backup receipt invoice for that. Thank you. And this is a request for reimbursement of the cell phone allowance
Yes.
for December, and I think there's another postage on there. No, excuse me, the
Bolts.
screws, yeah, for putting the sign on 344 Wedge. And here's the two backup receipts for that. And I'm just going to briefly deviate and pass around the sign. Sandy Patrickin of Ipswich Bay Glass was nice enough to make up impromptu signs for us for the property that they recently gifted to the commission in the town. It's adjacent to the Dodge Reservation.
We still got several left, correct?
Yes, I
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Have you decided where those will go, down inside? or-
No, what I'm going to, what my intention is to do a reconnaissance along the boundary between the Dodge Reservation purchase and that new gift, and see if I can identify any other possible pathways that people may come in off of private property, or possibly leave the Dodge Reservation so that we've got 4 more of those signs, so if there is other spots to position them.
Together,
This signage is different than our other signage because there was the agreement not to establish public trails there for 2 safety reasons, for the safety and security of the rear of Ipswich Bay Glass, where they store materials and also have people out working, kind of interface with the woods, and also for the safety and security of the young children attending the YMCA camp. That was one of the requirements of the donors, and the commission was mutually agreeable because of the safety concerns, et cetera. It follows the same format as the other sign, it just has that public access component.
That reminds me, speaking of safety in the Girl Scout camp, Dodge Reservation, and the YMCA, and or WW.
YM.
Yeah. There was a picture in the Daily News recently, in an article that was dealing with things, and it was a picture that took place on the Y property area of the Dodge Reservation. It showed them doing archery.
Yes.
And that led to a little bit of concern for me that they're doing target practice on targets and not something else. And, I mean, that can be dangerous.
They've always had that.
Yeah, I was
went
gonna
to
say,
Washington.
that's just continuing the same usage, and I think
Well,
it's
it's
in
just
the
safety.
same area as
Right.
where the Girl Scout Council had an established archery range also. I can make sure that I can certainly inquire and make sure that there's appropriate safety
I think
protocols.
it would be useful because you get hikers or people on horseback wandering off the trails, and then it'd be dangerous to the
If it's
public.
exactly where it was situated before, it's actually not readily accessible from any of the public access areas. And well, again, I have to do this reconnaissance for this new gift of land, but prior to that, all public access points are appropriately marked so that people do not, so the public does not stray into the camp area. And the area for the archery practice is well within the interior of the designated camp area and not near any of the peripheral dirt roads or the perimeter dirt road that goes around the camp and is near the public access points. But like I said, I do need to go examine now the new boundary that we have out there, so just to let you know. This is another administrative item. We made a slight, we're gonna provide you with a new 2017 meeting schedule because we missed the fact that our submittal date in February, on February 20th, was President's Day. And so there's been a change here, and I'm sure you'll all be amenable to it. We shifted the submittal date from that holiday when the office isn't open to the next working day, which is Tuesday. So under the March 7th meeting date, you'll see that the submittal date, the difference is that it now reads February 21st, Tuesday.
And we're gonna have that Wednesday one come up.
Yeah, there's a couple. Further down, the May 10th is Wednesday because town meeting will more than likely be on May 9th, I think, or that's town elections. Town elections. And the only other one is the October 10th on the second column underneath the October 24th meeting because, again, that's a holiday, I think. That's Columbus Day, I think. So those Monday holidays, we just shift the submittal dates to when the office is open. I would request a confirming motion from the commission since we always approve the schedules.
Do I hear a motion to accept the change in the new schedule?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
sorry, who moved?
I did.
Okay, and Judy seconded, correct?
Yes.
And it was unanimous,
Yes.
correct? Thank you very much. Sorry about that, we tried to check the holidays.
Okay, so that's it for the payroll and vendor bills, correct?
Right. Next,
Next would be the minutes. I suppose all of you have had a chance to. I had to squeak them in the last minute because my computer wouldn't open up like Brent's. But we'll do these one at a time. Does anybody have any questions, would like to make any changes? Or anything on regards to the December 6th, 2016?
There was a change that I think has already been made, I don't know whether.
yes, we inadvertently misspelled the last name of Ms. Joan Puritan. Because she just attended the meeting, she wasn't an
Yeah.
applicant or anything like that, so we didn't. And yes, we corrected that once Commissioner Turner pointed that out.
Do I hear a motion to accept those as they were, as the 16th, as the 6th was read?
So moved.
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
That brings us to the March
Very
29th,
much.
2016. Did everybody get a chance to read it? Do they have any questions?
No questions.
Errors? Do I hear a motion to accept it as it was written?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye. Thank you.
And it brings us to the April 19th, 2016. Same thing, has anybody got any questions? Add or subtract, or
No.
we have a motion to accept it?
So moved.
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Ethics.
Ethics.
Has everyone had an opportunity to read the summary of the conflict of interest law that was emailed around?
Yes.
Did anyone bring a signed receipt already? If not, you do have blank receipts.
I thought I already signed that, but maybe not.
No, I think we talked about it.
This is just new
Yeah.
this year. If you haven't had an opportunity to read the summary, and that was the PDF that was included in the email, when you do read it, if you could just return the signed receipt to this office. We're going to try and just coordinate them through the office because the town clerk is going to be hit with all these things. So, and also, if anyone needs to come in to the office to utilize one of our office computers to do the online training, that is also an aspect of this.
I think I come up this May.
Well, again, the town clerk is trying to move everybody into this time of year, the first of the year, to do this, because they get busy with budget, she gets busy with preparing for the elections, for the town meeting. And before this was happening in, I think, mid to late April, which,
Usually after the election, I think was what.
yeah, it's somewhere. Anyway, she's trying to move this exercise to a non-busy time of year for the town clerk's office.
Which is fine.
So she does request our indulgence in doing the training, but I think we're only a couple months ahead of when the 2-year time period was coming up for doing this.
Can we give this to you tonight, or we have to do it, return it to the town clerk?
No, I'd like, if you've read the summary, I'd like to coordinate turning them in through the office here. Thank you. I figure this is all going to make it a little bit more convenient for you, since I'm always going to town hall. And like I said, feel free to give me a call if you do wish to come in and use a computer in the office to do the online training. That's always available to you, usually in the afternoon when we other staff isn't here. So that completes all the administrative stuff, and actually puts us pretty close to where
Pretty
we're
close.
supposed to be here. Mr. Chairman, here's the legal notice.
All right, this is a legal notice of the Raleigh Conservation Commission in accordance with the Wetlands Protection Act, Mass General Law 131, Section 40, as amended by the Town of Raleigh Wetlands Protection Bylaw. Public meeting will be held on Tuesday, January 3rd, 2017, 7:45 PM, Room 5 of the Town Hall Annex at 39 Central Street, to consider request for the determination of applicability for the application filed by Stephen Hayes for proposed soil evaluations for subsurface sewage disposal system upgrade, possibly within a 100-foot buffer zone of bordering vegetated wetlands at 46 Leslie Road, map 7, parcel lot 18, lot 3, in Raleigh, Mass. How you doing?
Hi, Tom Mineta from Thomas Mineta Incorporated, representing Stephen Hayes tonight. We're here tonight to do soil testing for a septic repair. In the light blue is the wetlands line, the red is the 50-foot buffer, the green line is the 100-foot buffer. Obviously, we have the driveway and the existing house. This area in purple is where we're proposing to do our soil testing. It's outside the 50-foot buffer zone, but within the 100-foot buffer zone. And the reason that that's the area is this site just continually slopes up. This is the flattest area that we have. There's a well here, the wetland just keeps going, so unfortunately that's the only spot we have to test on the site.
Where is the existing?
The existing system is right here. It is a voluntary upgrade. The system is not in failure.
What's that little horseshoe thing down near where the proposed is, right off the driveway?
Right here?
Yeah.
That's a little bin. He has a railroad tie.
Oh, yeah.
He cuts a lot of wood. He cuts his own wood, and they usually drop it off here, and he cuts it. And there's a dumpster right next to it too. So this is the animal hospital.
Oh, right, yep, okay. I got it. All right.
So I produced a memo, hopefully the commission's had an opportunity to glance at it. There's a little different protocol in regards to the erosion control, just in this particular situation. I've tried to show on the photocopied plans that I marked up that are on either end of the table here, the red arrow represents where the topography kind of produces sort of a low area that if it received pounding rain off of the slope where they're going to do their soil evaluation test pits, possible sediment could flow across the gravel drive, then go through, follow this sort of depression and go right into the end of the flagged wetlands, which is shown at its closest proximity, really, in that particular area. So in having the site visit with Mr. Mineta, we discussed that due to the time of year, the fact that the driveway access will probably see snow plowing activity, that it might make the most practical sense to put some straw water or something down after they perform the soil evaluations and backfill the pits. Because there isn't, besides mulching it, there isn't really going to be the ability, and especially if it's frozen ground conditions, we're not going to get good stabilization. So if we sort of put a ring of the straw wattle just down below where they actually do the digging, and we don't know the exact spots that they're going to do the digging, but this way we'll be able to put something up that's away from the driveway, so hopefully the snow plows won't catch it and tear it apart, and it'll be in place until it gets covered with snow and kind of stabilizes that area. Then when it thaws out and melts out, it'll be in place again right where the disturbed earth was not where the unbroken ground is, because it's, the unbroken ground, we don't have any type of a fear that it'll erode in a downpour. But the disturbed area, it's kind of hard to really get it compacted and really bedded down.
When are they gonna do the test, you know?
We're gonna do it as soon as possible.
You do have a window, yeah.
What are the large stars on here, or
Trees.
Those are some, you know, some exceptionally large trees. The whole site is treed. We'll use those.
Yeah, it's
for
basically
benchmarks.
a wooded lot, and so, and the house has got trees around it, so the previous owners who, what did he say, they had bred huskies? was it?
Huskies, right,
Yes,
right.
yeah.
they bored?
They apparently utilized the trees for tethering the huskies, and so they didn't want an extensive cleared lawn area. They wanted the trees around.
Shade, yeah.
Yeah.
They board animals here, right?
No.
Says it's a hospital, so.
Well, yeah, I think
It's
you
all
just-
day patients?
Yes, I think so, yeah.
Yeah, outpatients.
Yeah, outpatient service, yeah.
Okay.
Anybody else have any questions?
How far off the driveway were you planning on putting the,
Straw wattle, erosion control?
Yes, I was looking for the
It's,
word.
well, it's predicated on the edge of his disturbance.
It'd be somewhere, probably a minimum of 10 feet off the edge of the
I
driveway.
think a minimum.
Yeah,
Good
because
idea.
the 50-foot buffer zone actually extends past the 50-foot off the edge anyway,
And
and
like I
and
said,
most of
just
it.
to keep it from getting clipped.
Right,
right,
or
right,
something.
Yeah,
But the state minimum for separation of septic fields is 50 feet from bordering vegetated wetlands, so they're doing as much as possible to adhere to that state minimum. Now, Rowley is stricter, and on a new developed lot, there's a 100-foot requirement of separation from bordering vegetated wetlands.
Now, this, is this like a potential failure? I know people don't like to spend it.
actually, it's been working fine.
Are they gonna keep it?
No, they were banned in the existing system once we designed the new one. Yep.
Well, notice it has probably no separation.
It has no
from bordering
separation.
vegetated
And quite frankly,
wetlands.
the reality
But
is
back
that
when that was
system,
done, I mean, but.
yeah, that system will probably never fail based on its location.
Yeah, yeah, actually,
Groundwater flows through.
yeah.
Tom, are you familiar with what they do with animal waste? I mean, I've owned dogs that have gone to the vets, and you tend to walk them outdoors before they go inside so that they don't defecate inside.
That's what they're walking.
And what is their procedure or protocol for cleaning that area?
You know, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. He does have the dumpster there, I think, was he talking about that, Brent, when we were out there? He was talking about the
Well,
dumpster and
we-
what the use was, and I don't know.
Yeah,
He lives there as well, so it's not like it's
Yeah, it's his-
scattered
his
everywhere. It's
residence.
very clean
I've
and
seen
neat
it, you know,
property.
you see it
Yeah.
going by, it is a nice, pleasant structure.
I mean, I can definitely find out, but I don't know the answer.
yeah,
to
we
that
didn't
question.
specifically, because we were kind of focused on the excavation and stuff, we really didn't ask about animal waste management.
I know we're pretty strict on horses, and but that vet place attracts a lot of that.
Well, I didn't take any pictures of the site, but for all intents and purposes, the walkway, there's landscape shrubbery, and really as it gets towards the residence, it's left wooded. The topography actually drops down to where the wetland resource area is. You can see that from the contour lines here. And there really isn't any provision for anyone to quote-unquote be walking their dog or
Right.
their
There's a
their
hedgerow.
other pet.
There's a hedgerow right behind those the railroad ties.
Right, which-
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then as it gets over here, there is some lawn around the residence, but again, because he lives there, I mean, I didn't see any quote-unquote
Right.
doggy-doo.
I did not either.
Hadn't been
I've walked the
policed.
whole site, so.
Well, it must mean they police it pretty well then.
Yeah, they must. Anybody else have any questions in regards to this?
So the recommendation is the conditions as listed in the memo with a negative option number 3 because it is occurring within the 100-foot buffer zone.
Do I hear such a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you, Tom.
Have a good night.
Drive careful.
Yeah. It's a wet one out there, that's for sure.
This would bring us to status reports with permits and enforcement. And I have the first one here, is 548 Weathersfield Street, Lucia Herrick Realty Trust, William H. Herrick III, trustee. That's map 11, parcel lot 4, the violation of Wetlands Protection Act and Wetlands Protection Bylaw.
So the commission voted to issue an enforcement order, and an enforcement order was issued to Mr. William Herrick. There was just a period of time when the office hoped to have communication and to visit the site, and that did not happen for a period of time. Period of time was from November 17th, when the enforcement order was issued, as well as the certified return receipt mailing of the enforcement order came back unclaimed to the office. We always send one out first class mail. That was not returned, so we pretty much believe that it did get delivered. Later on tonight, we'll see Mr. Herrick was coming in because there's an application before the planning board we're going to look at a little later on, but there hadn't been any interaction with the conservation department. So I talked to him at one point in time where he came in. Turned out there had been some personal family business that I think had conflicted with things. So he delivered a handwritten note to me on the 20th after I expressed concern about not going to the site and the fact that some hay bales out there. I'm sorry this picture isn't as clear as it possibly could be. What you're actually looking at is the fact that the gravel fill is almost all the way up to the top of these hay bales, and that's my tile shovel that I use for soil evaluations, and I had just showed him that it could be tapered down so that if the hay bales become non-structural as they rot, the weight of the soil against them, because they're not supposed to be a retaining wall, they would fail and that dirt would spread further into the floodplain and the wetlands. And so I was just showing him that it could be dug out very easily. He could take it up to an upland portion of his property just to taper it down so the hay bales would not be a retaining wall. And we also discussed, again, trying to get, you can see in the picture where some of the riprap that was supposed to be stabilizing the slope had actually dropped down, and you can actually see the stones down in the channel of the river. And so I was making a plea to him, if at all possible, to make an attempt to retrieve those things. And also I hand delivered the returned enforcement order to him, told him there were dates in there that it was necessary for him to start the process of getting this permitted and meeting the requirements of the Wetlands Protection Act, and not wait until he was thinking about implementing his plans for possible development of the property that's accessed on the other side of the Mill River. So, that meeting did occur on the 28th. I met him out there.
Do you know if there's been anything?
I do not, But the fact that we had the meeting was one of the requirements. He turned in a letter saying that he's gonna work on the stuff, so.
When's the next,
some
when's the next timeline, or the next milestone?
That's because of the winter, we put it up.
Yeah, the commission had.
It was in the spring, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, I thought it was like.
Oh, I saw it.
May 30th.
Okay, so,
So obtain all proper,
Because sometimes you can do more damage.
excuse me, obtain all proper local permitting for activity, including floodplain bylaw and order of conditions by May 30th, 2017. Complete site work and floodplain compensation areas to comply with the Wetlands Protection Act, so.
okay, no, just,
Yeah, the idea was not to wait until whatever proposal, because we don't know what's gonna happen in the spring. So, and I had the same conversation with him that you and I had about, you know, look where your road that goes into the farm field, look how it slowly tapers up, and the fact that it could be.
I don't know if people can see that, but,
Yeah,
because
you
I've
might
been
know.
there, you and I saw it,
Yeah.
yeah.
I didn't put the whole.
It actually goes up to the bridge, whereas I guess before it was flat.
oh, so yeah, so there's.
On the
no-
Weathersfield Street side, the slope is so severe that there isn't really any opportunity to cut into that grade. But on the, across the river side, it's much more gradual and tapering going up into the hayfield. And so that could be cut into, in the floodplain area, you could drop the road down to let the floodwaters go across it, giving it some breathing room that's been taken up by where this fill and this riprap has been.
And when we looked at it, it's not uncommon for it to do that, as you can see where
Where the water
it's been
goes
doing
across.
that.
Yeah, you
So
can
the
tell-
idea is, this bridge was built as a temporary access,
I guess
based
from
on
the-
whatever.
from
Well,
the
it was,
end of the
it
field.
was agricultural access. It's been an agricultural crossing
Yeah.
for farm equipment.
Right, okay,
for-
I don't think you could use it for anything else right now.
okay.
Well, he's got 12-inch I-beams under there, so that's a heck of a lot.
Yeah, but I
That's
mean,
a
it's.
lot more strength
You gotta
than
pay
the
attention driving
the
across.
8x8s were
That he
providing.
had
Well,
before.
yes, yeah,
Well, his equipment's pretty heavy, so.
yeah, so. Okay, so that's the
Fine.
status of that. So we have had progress, and we know the enforcement order has been delivered, because I hand-delivered it.
Now, should we put this on schedule to talk about further in the future?
Well, yeah, I'll request placement on the agenda when there's other things to talk. I mean, hopefully, what's gonna happen is that there will be a notice of intent submittal.
All right.
Yeah. That's what we're certainly hoping will happen way before May 30th.
Does he know that?
Yes, he knows that. And I checked when the planning board issues a communication, because they're the permit granting authority for the floodplain district bylaw, which this also triggers. They have told me that they are working on a communication that will go to Mr. Herrick about compliance with that bylaw, so.
Yeah.
I will let you know and copy you when we receive a copy of it. I don't think it's happened yet. Okay, so that takes care of that.
Prospect Hill?
Yes. So there is work occurring
Yeah.
on Prospect Hill. And also before I started holiday vacation. And so what you're looking at here,
Can you enlarge that at all?
that's a good question. Yes, I can.
Yep, right there.
Here it is, right there. Let's go for it bigger.
Geez, the damage looks worse now.
That looks like that'll work.
How's that? Is
Yeah,
that?
that's good, that's a good shot.
So where this before had been a V, that had just check dams in it and erosion control blanket, it's now being flattened out so that it's a U channel with the fabric being put in place and then the crushed stone riprap. And the grading is also being changed. The roadway will be graded not to be crowned in the center and to slough to both sides, but to slope over to this swale, whereas the far side that was supposed to have another twin swale in it, that's going to be graded flat, and it'll take advantage of the topography to let it shunt water off to the side, because on that side of the roadway, the ground surface is pretty much level with where that side slope is of the road. They also, prior to my going on holiday, they were dispatched, so this is just showing different aspects of it.
Yeah, that's.
I met them on site on Thursday, the 20th, I think it was.
Or even then, it won't matter.
Or was it the 29th? I don't remember which now. And they dug out and reestablished on the lower portion of the slope behind the existing erosion control. Because this is the upper slope. They hadn't gotten down to the lower, and I was very concerned that they hadn't dug out behind the erosion control. So stuff was still eroding on the lower slope. But now there's basins and,
Did you get to go there today?
no,
No.
did not get to go
So
there.
so the idea is that the water will now flow into those
Well, they were working
rocks
on
and
it,
go down,
yeah.
it'll just fall down the channel?
Right. Well, first off, the riprap is going to slow it
Break it up.
down. It's
Yeah.
not going to
Yeah,
allow
it's not
it
gonna
to
be a rush.
just rush down as it was. As well as the capacity's been increased, but it's also not been concentrated by that V. You know, the V profile for water just concentrates it. And the problem is that the whole hill is gravel till.
Gravel hill, yeah.
And so it just would eat through that because they never got any vegetation and the vegetation would have had to have been much deeper rooted than I think just turf grass.
Yeah.
To begin with, so. So there's progress been made with that particular project also. Again, we're monitoring it, and the project foreman knows to call me directly about things instead of kind of waiting for us to work through the channel, because we were also having a problem with response time.
So that channel just follows all the way down the road?
Yes.
Pretty much. Not exactly straight, but almost.
Plus or minus?
Well, and it's broken. Halfway up the hill is the previous storage tank area, and the best way to explain it is that the roadway makes a little shift. There's this little S curve kind of thing. And so it was designed so this upper swale comes down and hits this broad expanse area that's going to have basically a rip-wrapped velocity dissipator
Okay.
for it to go into, and again, spread it off, so it isn't just following
Down the whole hill.
following that swale and then hitting the next swale on the lower portion of the slope and following that. The idea is to get that water off and then just deal with the water on the lower half of the slope in another swale. So,
You may wanna touch base with that tomorrow afternoon, take a look.
Yeah. yeah.
Oh, yeah, you see what happened.
Have to tell you.
Yeah, but they have been working over there, so hopefully they've
Who's
reestablished.
paying for all this?
The town is, it was this is not exceeding the money that was voted and allocated.
Really?
Yeah, because their first quote, they came in lower than it was anticipated, so, but this now is meeting the full amount of the monies that were allocated, but.
You don't know what they're gonna put for vegetation on that other side, the 15
No.
feet that's all open.
No, I
It'd be better not to have grass, it would be better to almost have shrubs.
don't. Well, it's,
Takes a while for Mother Nature to get that.
yeah, but if you get that mix of, what is it? It's, is it rye and fescue? If you
Fescue,
get the
yeah.
mix of rye and fescue is relatively deep rooted, and that ends up being your sort of field grasses, and that actually that will hold things.
Yeah.
But it's getting it in place before the water hits it, as well as not channelizing the water that then concentrates the force.
Yeah.
Okay, that takes care of
Much better.
that. Okay. Writer.
The next item was land off of Central Street, 163 Central Street, map 28, parcel lot 50, 163 Central Street, map, parcel 28, lot 49, Bright Energy, owned by William Freitag, construction of the 4.3 acre, 650 kilowatt solar photovoltaic system, expansion of gravel access drive, utilities, grading possibly within 100 feet of buffer zone bordering vegetated wetland and isolated vegetated wetlands.
So the order of conditions, and this is the Central Street Country Gardens solar facility project. So the order of conditions requires an applicant, if they wish to do work on the site, I'm not sure the exact dates, but it's either November 1st or November 15th to like March 15th. Basically the winter time period, frozen ground conditions. It requires the applicant to make a request of the commission if they can be allowed to proceed with work. So the caveat here is I just wanted to point out to you, if I can, yeah, I can get this thing into the screen. Increasing efficiency of the panels has resulted in a shrinkage of the square footage. This row has been eliminated. This row has been shortened. This row of panels has also been shortened. And these are the areas that in their estimation had been were the closer portions of the array that were coming out to where the commission's regulated areas were, although nothing intruded into the no cut, no disturbance zone. So anyway, the point was, and there may even be a further slight reduction. So the size of the facilities in terms of the panels is actually being reduced. Overall footprint of the project is not changing at this point in time. There is certainly the potential that they could change the fence line, especially in the lower area here if they wish to. But part of their electrical infrastructure is located right there, so there's not too much they could, not a huge amount they could reduce the fence perimeter. And that's all part of the farm field anyway, so it's not like clearing or whatever gets reduced. So they've made a request, I passed it out to you, that if the site conditions warrant, they would like to have the approval from us that they could possibly start putting in erosion control, et cetera, doing some site work, all contingent upon conditions on the ground actually allowing them to do such thing, as I pointed out to them, be able to correctly install erosion control. If they can't correctly install the erosion control because of the on-site conditions, i.e. frozen ground, feet of snow, something like that, then they wouldn't be able to proceed. But the order of conditions does require them to make this written request of us. And I've spoken to Chairman Page about this, and actually, Matt Marino, Mr. Marino called me today, and we had a conversation about this too, and I said, yeah, I said, I'm gonna have a discussion with the commission tonight. I said a lot of times we would normally do this just administratively, but I said because of where this project has gone with the appeal or whatever, I just wanted to have all the commissioners involved in a discussion about it. And, my recommendation is that everything is contingent upon them being able to implement site controls in favorable conditions or conditions where they would work. And you'd have to prove that they worked.
And they would have to come to you to say, is it eligible?
Well, we still have the same protocols in terms of inspection. They put the erosion control in, I inspect it for its correct location, for its correct installation, and for its ability to actually block sediment and control the earth disturbance on the site. So the other conditions that are already in that permit that we issued, they don't go away and they aren't relaxed. It's just that we put this extra step in for the winter time of year when normally doing earth disturbance and stuff is very problematic because you can't control it as well as you can at more favorable, moderate temperatures and bare ground
Sounds
conditions.
reasonable and commonsensical to me.
Yeah, 'cause I mean, 2 years could be night and day.
Well,
1 year could
exactly.
be-
Yeah, what
They can
happened
plant-
last year versus the year
They
before.
plant early, the next year they can't do anything.
Yeah. Yeah, so again, they realize that, they're not asking the commission to waive anything. This is the process that the order calls for them to make a written request.
Should we vote on this?
Which is just.
There's
Just,
really nothing to vote on.
Yeah, yeah.
Nothing's changed.
Yeah, nothing's changed. In,
It's just information.
yeah.
We felt really
Well, it's
uncomfortable.
informational, and it's also to let you know, and again, because of the prominence and the scrutiny that this project received, I voiced the opinion, so in one sense, the order that this commission issued has been scrutinized by the DEP through the appeals process. And the DEP did not revoke or change anything in the order. They affirmed the order with the exception of a couple of things that our bylaw allows us to be stricter on. They did,
When was that final, I guess I missed that, when did their final, was that like a month ago, or? I remember there was stuff coming back and forth, but I don't ever remember a final.
Yeah, you missed a midnight or two.
Yeah.
There was a notice that went around, and then there was an appeal period beyond
I
that.
remember the appeal
Yeah.
period, and I'm saying,
There
I never
There was
saw
an
the
appeal
final.
period from their final decision as well, but
Yeah.
we were never.
yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't bring the whole
That's
file
good,
into
I'm just wondering, if you
here,
know
but-
offhand,
But I mean, DEP went through their process.
They did.
And then DEP issued a superseding order that affirmed our issuance. But a couple of the things, like I said, that we normally do, which our bylaw lets us do, I think the restriction of the fertilizer
yeah,
and something else, again, relatively minor things. I mean, the important thing, for me, the important thing was that our permit got scrutinized by the state, by a bunch of professionals there who
still busted.
have much broader knowledge, and they chose to affirm our order.
Right.
They didn't revoke parts of it, they didn't modify major portions of it,
Yeah.
they didn't fool with it. They basically said, yep, except for these local bylaw things, like I said, there's only 2 or 3, they said, it stands, so.
Brent, I just got a quick question, just looking at the map. Where's the fencing on the,
Backside,
yeah, the backside?
the backside
I
of
mean, it
the,
goes
like
all the way
those two
around,
long
and I
ones
think it's just maybe,
that
you
stand by themselves.
see the black line of fence?
Yeah, there's a line, well, no, the black line's erosion control.
Oh, okay,
No,
okay.
there's a gray line here,
Okay,
goes around, comes down here, there's a
I
gate
see it
here.
now, yeah,
It goes up here,
yeah.
enclosing the access road, then it goes out here and encloses these 2 rows of
And then shoots
panels.
across.
And then
Yeah,
it goes a
got it.
diagonal up here to take into account the turnaround area
Yeah.
for the emergency vehicles.
Okay, all right, yeah. I wasn't thinking of the,
Yeah, no, the dark lines, that's the erosion control because we've got our local resource area there.
right.
And then we've got the forested wetland resource areas all along here and very close where the access drive comes in. Whoops.
Has there been any mention of the other piece?
No.
That's still because of the,
Is that not going to be built?
I
They
don't know.
extended there was a short window for getting the tax credit, and the government has extended it. So
Right.
that's why it suddenly
Right.
wasn't.
So we don't know.
But on the other parcel, the property owner who they were leasing from has so far not gone through with signing the easement.
yeah, that was, I'm sorry, that's what I was.
So consequently, if they wish to proceed with that project, they will have to pay the bylaw fee.
Yeah.
They have not done that, they haven't, there hasn't been any movement on that project
Yeah,
at this
okay.
point in time.
Who's the owner that they're leasing from? Do we know?
No, because I think it was, I think the ownership is listed like 510 Newburyport Realty Trust or something like that. I mean, I think somewhere in our paperwork, there was a gentleman's name as one of the trustees.
Not important at the moment.
All right, well, that brings us to project comments and requests, which, right there, we have on 40 Dodge Road and 2 Mill Road. Map 5, Lot 104 and 105, proposed common driveway submitted by ASB Design Group LLC on behalf of William Herrick, Jr. Now, this going in front of planning tomorrow?
Yes. I believe the planning board is at the point in their process where they start scheduling the public hearings. So I think the meeting that the planning board is possibly coming up, and I can't remember whether it's tomorrow night or not, is where they schedule the public meeting, and they're just giving us a heads up, so
Right.
quicker, we get comment. But, so, the commission may remember that we issued an order of resource area delineation. There's a potential vernal pool in this location here, which is also delineated as bordering vegetated wetlands, but is a depression without an inlet or an outlet. That has, under our bylaw, has a 100-foot vernal pool habitat area around it. And so they divided, Mill Road is here, Dodge Road is here to orient folks. The dairy farm and part of their pasture is right here. So they are proposing a common driveway to access residences on Lot 1, Lot 2, and to access this Lot 5, so they won't be coming off of Mill Road and trying to put a driveway or other built infrastructure through the vernal pool habitat.
Yeah, that would be tight.
Is the commission where that's previously undisturbed, the commission wants that to be treated as a no-cut, no-disturbance area for protection of the vernal pool habitat. So the proposal is common driveway to access 3 lots. They've done the soil evaluations. They did the soil evaluations outside of areas regulated by the commission. There's a stream down here. It's 200-foot riverfront is right to there. And the 100-foot buffer zone of bordering vegetated wetlands, I believe, is this little pale green line on it, so. So that's the application, so. I just wanted to make the commission aware of this. They'll be preparing a comment memo, so I wanted, if any commissioners had feedback, concerns, or anything about this. This project would.
Is there a logging road there now?
There is, there's a woods road, ATV road right here.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Very indistinct, but yeah, it goes in, starts out really close to where the stream is.
Yep.
It goes in there. They actually followed it when they did a lot of these soil evaluations. I think one branch of it goes over into here, I think.
And then-
Large
Good
mature
amount of rain, That
trees.
floods something fierce.
Pardon me?
It's all full of, during the spring, that's all full of skunk cabbage and you name it, where that stream is. It's,
Oh, yeah.
it's very wet there.
Yeah.
Yeah. That stream will go over the road sometimes.
Oh, yes, without doubt.
All right, anybody have any more questions on this?
So the next time we'll see this will be,
Well, you'll probably get I normally copy the commission on my comment memos to the planning board, so you'll probably see the comment memo. I believe this is jurisdictional under the stormwater and erosion control bylaw because of all the lots that will be, all the earth disturbance that will be associated with that, and especially with that common driveway, I'm sure that that will end up exceeding 20,000 square feet of earth disturbance. So more than likely, you'd be seeing a stormwater permit. Now, obviously, it doesn't show whether there's any grading and stuff going on within the 100-foot buffer zone for any of the residences. So it might be possible that we will only see this for a stormwater permit. We might not see any type of wetlands permit for it, depending on what size of the house and where they position it. and
Where they
grade.
put the driveways, there's gotta be driveways off of that common driveway.
Well, yes, and right now they're showing points. You can kind of tell where the soil evaluation
that's where the house.
things
will be.
are, that there's gonna be a residence probably situated somewhere
Right about
near
there.
that.
Then another one back in the corner, and then one way back.
Yeah.
Well, Sandy Patrickin has a common, did a common driveway for 3 houses off of Weathersfield Street.
Right.
Just up the street from me, and so I assume that it's precedential regarding something like this.
I think, well,
104 Newburyport Turnpike, map 14, lot 14-2, proposed building and parking area for the operation of a dog kennel submitted by Charles Peabody on behalf of Mark Bernhardt.
Here's 104.
It is,
Oh, yes, I know that one.
it's up from
McDonald's.
the other vets in the t-shirt shop. It's
Yes.
next to Down East, or Downriver Ice Cream is.
Down, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Opposite from,
They did a lot of fence work, if you see it, they put fences up.
Yeah.
Oh, that's up on the hill.
It's up on the hill.
yeah,
it's with
yeah,
the
you're
dog-
going, you're going
Dog
up.
shop.
It's up on the hill. It's up there. I had Regency,
I thought it was a alien training site or something.
they did a lot of digging up there. You see, went up that hill, something went on.
Dog kennel.
Well, so. Excuse me. So we actually we have some issues with this site.
Yeah.
And the,
The first thing we have, the first issue we have is the fact that this grading, clearing, going up this slope, no erosion control. Now, I was alerted to this activity on or around December 1st. And I think the day after I was alerted to the activity going on, Mr. Peabody, who's one of the principals or people involved in this application, came into the office mostly to talk to Kirk Baker, our town planner, about temporary storage trailer. I can't remember whether I copied you on the memo to the selectmen, because they applied to the selectmen oh, that's the wrong
So say
one.
that's the one.
Yeah, that looks like that looks familiar.
Like,
That's-
well, we just had a-
Familiar is what I
Deja vu all over again.
I just showed. All right, hold on.
Thanks.
Anybody else?
Good, thank you.
You look hungry
Okay, now, what do you?
I'm gonna turn the plan sheet like this because there isn't a lot of detail on this plan. And there isn't a lot of detail in the application. And the issue from the Conservation Commission standpoint is that on December 1st, I had a fairly substantive conversation with Mr. Charles Peabody, where I even gave him straw wattle installation guides and told him that erosion control needed to be implemented on this site per our stormwater bylaw. And I had no idea how much dirt and clearing had gone on, so I have no idea whether they triggered the 20,000 square foot limit or requirement that then allows a specific application. But this is what I was made aware of, and the issue is this garage, which was remodeled a little bit and now serves as their office, has a sloping gravel driveway that was pre-existing there. And that is the catch basin in front of their property. You can't see a catch basin, but there's a asphalt paved apron directing the water, and somewhere, either under the leaves or under all that sediment, there's supposed to be a functioning stormwater catch basin maintained by Mass DOT.
Fine,
You make that
way
a
up
little
there
larger,
on the hill?
Brent?
No, that's
What?
on the
Make
side.
it a little larger.
Really?
Yeah, it's coming off there.
So that's right
That's up
there.
on the hill. That picture. I think.
No, that's from the road. He's actually parked on the road.
I'm standing on the right-of-way, the edge of the pavement,
Really?
taking that photograph, because I had no permission to enter onto the property, so I stayed in the public right-of-way. And if I can get to the, what's going on.
It does seem to be a storage trailer inside the fence.
So I took this picture to give you a sense of the aspect of this. So here's the disturbed, graded, sloped hillside. They've done further clearing. There's a stockpile up in the woods there. It comes down here. There's no erosion control implemented. It flows down across there. Some of it's now coming down here because you can see a rill or crevice starting to form from there, but it actually goes down to the end of the driveway on Newbury Turnpike, and then loops around and comes back down and follows the apron to take the stormwater off the road. So
Abutments there.
Mr. Peabody was informed about putting erosion control in back on December 1st. And they did not do that. And now the catch basin is non-functional. So I talked to Chairman Page this morning, and,
So is that running out into the street?
yeah,
It has to go across the street,
yeah,
though.
Yeah.
goes out into the street and then curves back into the breakdown lane,
Yeah.
goes back in. So my recommendation, and I've already prepared a notice of violation under our stormwater and erosion control bylaw, as well as also, after consulting with Chairman Page this morning, I also called and notified Mass DOT. Because,
If that ice is over, I mean, you're talking.
well, exactly, we don't
Bad.
want ice, we don't want water, frozen water forming on Route 1 Newburyport Turnpike. The speed limit there is 50 miles per hour. It's a very tough site to get out of because the line of sight is not very good. You're over the crest of the hill, but like 100 feet down. So when I parked in the neighboring establishment, there's a business there that has a little paved parking area. I parked in there, like I said, because I didn't have permission to enter onto this property. And you hope that as you're pulling out and you don't see anything coming over the crest of the hill heading north, that something doesn't appear there going 60 miles per hour and surprise you. Needless to say, our concern is the mobilized sediments that are moving into the public right-of-way. That's definitely contrary, distinctly contrary to our stormwater erosion control bylaw. And also, since I'd had a conversation with them 30 days ago, there's been plenty of time to put some type of erosion control in place, or even just mulch the area and stuff. So there's some bad site management practices going on here that are actually degrading the environment and are compromising the stormwater system to Route 1 Newburyport Turnpike, because I'm sure there's sediment in the catch basin too, if it got through the leaves to get into it.
Where does that, do you have any idea where that basin leads to?
Imagine right across the street.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Because it goes
Starts to
uphill
go
from
down.
here.
I actually, yeah, I actually could probably access some records of this because I've worked with Mass Highway before,
Right, when they were cleaning
upgrading,
it, yep.
well, they upgraded the basin that's down in front of Downriver Ice Cream.
Right by the, yep,
So, and we also had a survey done on there for we had an order of conditions for a water line that at one point Forest Ridge was gonna put
oh, yes. I
down
do
the road.
remember.
So we actually have surveyed plans for all the exact locations of the number of catch basins, and there's probably an indication where they connect to. But the point is, now the other thing that's going on here is Mr. Peabody and Mark Bernhardt, who are the applicants to the planning board, are not the property owners. They are only leasing, I believe, or renting, or however you want to say it. But they are not the legal property owners. So you'll see the notice of violation is actually made out to Clark Labby. Labby, I'm not sure how it's
Labby.
pronounced, but he's listed by the assessors. When I checked the assessor's office today, they have not received any confirmation that there's been any change of ownership. So I'm requesting that I send this note of violation to both parties.
Yes.
So that we start the clock ticking here, because we've apparently got a situation where talking to him face-to-face about putting erosion control apparently fell on deaf ears. And now we've got damage occurring to the stormwater drainage system for Route 1 Newburyport Turnpike, and that's not a good thing, on a hillside too, and winter.
Yeah, I mean, everything is against it.
I would think that the owner wouldn't be too happy with that.
Well,
Well, the way this is fenced off in those high stockade fences, I'd be very careful in approaching that by yourself, if you have to go on.
Well, this has to do, I think, with containing the dogs.
They may be training vicious
It
dogs.
seems like they got a walkway that takes.
We're from the office to
But
the.
what were they digging up there? I don't understand what was going up on that hill.
Well, if you look at this,
I don't recall, I usually try to pick that stuff up and I don't recall.
If
It
you look at
started a
it,
couple, like a
I just
month and a
remember seeing
half
the
ago.
fence.
this proposal appears to call for a building being situated.
Up there?
There.
There
Well,
was a house up there.
actually,
Oh, yeah, I mean.
There's a-
it's-
right here,
But we'll not use it.
right in this area where this slope is, again, you know, the quality of this plan leaves a lot to be desired. There's no topographical, no contour information there at all. The catch basin isn't located. Their application makes
Two-story dwelling?
no provisions for stormwater. They're proposing to
two-story
put
dwelling.
a large metal building in there, which is, according to the specs of the building, comes with gutters and downspouts, but there's no provisions for where that stormwater is going to go. It also shows a big, large rectangular cleared area up above the building, yep, right
100
there.
by 100.
100 by 100, no
And where's that building
explanation.
supposed to be? Like, kind of up that hill?
Up the hill.
Yeah.
I gotta fix
All I can
Or
go
inside
by,
the stockade fence?
Oh, look at that one.
it's,
See, this is where the little building we can see,
Yeah.
but then
Holy
I can't
moly.
picture that much land up there unless.
That's what I'm
there's-
saying.
there is, a long time
That's all
ago, this
sloped
Mr. Bernhardt was interested in this property, and when I say a long time ago, at least over a year, maybe 2 years. And he actually invited me there, and he and I walked. It goes up and it kind of plateaus out and sort of makes a
Oh, it
shelf.
does.
And then it starts sloping back up again. This is actually part of Hunsley Hills,
Right,
in a sense.
Yeah.
This is the side of Hunsley Hills towards Route 1. So it sort of does that same sort of step type thing. But
well,
here,
there's always been a house there.
yes,
So there
there's
was a
always
house
been a
up there?
house
A
there.
two-story house. Look,
Two-story house right
yeah,
there.
right there.
And the little garage building that's now being used as an office receiving area.
Oh, right up here.
Has
Yeah.
been there also. The problem is, with no contour information, I have no idea how they're proposing to put the building where they're proposing it, and whether that 100-foot by 100-foot exercise area is on level ground that they just intend to clear. There's a
Is
lot
any of this in, and we don't know if any of this is wetland area.
Well, I don't believe it is, because I've actually walked this section of
Probably
the
is.
property, and actually he allowed me, when the property owner had given permission, and he and I went even further up the slope, and I didn't come across any like
So
inner
this-
streams or anything coming
It's a
down.
fairly
So
large
this is
lot.
a stormwater, this is a
Huge, goes all the
stormwater
way back.
management issue, not,
Yeah.
okay.
And especially because of the roadway is there. I mean, we've already seen
The
what
worst spot on
happens.
Route 1 in Raleigh,
Yeah.
seriously.
Don't have a plume of dirt going out into the road there, or a plume of ice and dirt, who knows? But there's already issues with the site.
This is pretty recent.
So with the consensus of the commission, I'd like to issue 2 notice of violation letters, one to the property owner and one to the applicants. And I'd also like to comment to the planning board about a lot of our concerns focused on stormwater and
Road safety.
erosion control, management, and the lack of details in this submittal too.
Of the building inspector.
All in favor?
Building's gone up there.
Aye.
Fence.
I have-
Opposed?
Approving it. Doing
I'm sorry, who moved first?
We didn't ask for a vote, I just asked for who, all in favor.
Oh, just,
I will
Just-
move.
yeah. But if you wanna vote, Kurt will move, and
I'll
Second.
we're fighting over seconds.
that's all right.
And then for over seconds, right?
Okay, thank you.
And this is a little house that caved in with the big snow. And we hit it.
Does the building inspector have to approve fences on
Yeah,
this?
it's kind of suspect.
Well, the temporary trailer that they brought on the site, those are just construction fence. You see they're held down by sandbags, so they're not permanently installed. So I,
Wooden ones?
No, but
Oh,
not the
wooden
fence
ones,
itself,
wooden
but I
ones.
mean,
Those are brand new.
yeah, I,
Used to be able to see that house.
yes, I understand that. They've been more focused on the storage trailer that they brought onto the site without getting any approvals, and apparently are using that to temporarily put the dogs in during the day. They're operating a kennel.
What kind of dogs?
well, what the Bordeaux?
We don't know.
Didn't that go with Bordeaux?
There's a lot of things that, yes, they just started operating prior to getting any types of approvals.
It seems so
That's as
common.
much as I know.
Is there manure disposal plan?
Animal waste management plan, yes, that's exactly one of the questions
It's
the
the
Board of Health
green thing in
has.
the corner.
Yeah. All right, is there anything else you would like to bring up?
I have something, that I'd like to mention. The Weathersfield Street, the pond at the Batchelder Brook area where there's a beaver dam, at least one of them retaining the water there. And you mentioned earlier in the fall that the beaver hut that's there has been abandoned because it's all grown over. And
Where is this? I missed the first statement.
going west on Weathersfield Street, we can come to the first bridge.
Yeah.
There's a pond there on the right.
Yep, yep.
And there's a beaver dam visible from the
Yeah.
roadway, right around the corner as Batchelder Brook heads north. And I'm wondering if that dam can be breached and lowered, because the buildup behind my house in the marshland, behind all the Sandy Patrick, and between that and the Girl Scout and my property, it's at flood stage at the moment. And with these kinds of rains and the spring rains to come, it seems to me we need to.
That's why I mentioned it this spring, this summer, because that's not a beaver dam or anything, it's actually turned into an island, we got vegetation growth, but it can't be removed this time of year.
Well, if
But
there
it
are
can
no
in the
beavers
spring.
there, why not?
Because its origin is that it's a beaver dam, and Fish and Wildlife that regulates fur bears
Yes.
is specifically stated in their protocols that from, is it like November?
Yes, the traffic season, basically it's traffic
November
season,
15th
November
to
to
April,
February.
April 15th.
Yeah, you can only lower it like 6 inches through a flow control device.
And they don't even like that being done because of the winter caches of food and the
No,
ability.
what comes is, that is definitely a problem, that's why I mentioned it to you earlier in the year. It would have been nice to attack it then, but whose land is that?
The hill's on one side of it, people
I've met
directly
them.
across
Yeah.
from me.
The town may have the other side, because I think that's where one of the tax title properties
So-
comes up to Weathersfield Street.
The highway department asked, it said that, geez, it's not on land, we can't pay for it. So, but that's not true, because we can, if it floods back onto their land, which it did last year, that's why they paid me for the flow control devices, because it was actually lifting up, they were afraid it was gonna lift the bridge.
Lift up the,
Yeah.
spread the abutment seams.
So we can do a temporary thing if, I'll just speak to Pat.
that I can do it now, though. I don't know that it can be done now.
I don't know if it can physically be done now anyways.
Right. But I'll have to consult their guidance.
Yeah,
regulations.
talk to the health department, I'll talk to the highway.
Well, do they-
Is it getting up near the bridge?
Um,
As high as last year?
Now would be the
It's
time to
overflowed
look.
its banks, the brook has overflowed its banks, you know,
So that dam
behind my
sits
house,
on the
so it's getting
east
higher.
side of the,
North side.
or the north
North
side,
side,
exactly, on the north side of the bridge.
But
Yeah.
it all backs up.
Or
all
downstream.
And then it backs all the way.
Behind
And
the
I'm sure it's actually backed up, I mean, that river there is got 7 or 8 dam
Dams
systems
on
on
it,
it.
beaver dams, yeah.
But they come and go.
They do,
They come and go because
but they come and go faster than the dams will run away on their own.
Yeah.
Especially when you start getting trees growing out of it. And I was down by Kurt's
Yeah.
house this year, and I said, my God, that's turned into an island. It is. But, yeah, so Brett will look into it. and I'll
We'll
talk to
examine
him.
that situation, see
I'll take a
how
look at that
soon we
bridge.
can do something.
Might not be true tomorrow, but, because there's still flowage on your neighbor across the street side, I believe.
Well, it's-
The hills?
Yes.
It's high enough that it's flowing behind my property as well, but it's over the banks, and
Okay,
it's going to
then I
be
should
getting
look at it.
higher,
Yep.
because that backs all the way up to behind McDonald's, and as those marshes fill up with water and the pressure comes downstream.
Yeah.
It hasn't gone that far, though.
No, no.
It hasn't gone that far.
But,
And does Batchelor go right into, what, to the Mill River then eventually?
Yes.
Follows north and then hits the Mill River up there
Yeah.
somewhere?
over by the old airplane fields and out through there.
Where is that?
Hillside, It's all built up now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's all
Used to be-
residences now, yeah.
Yeah, it used to be a recreational airplane.
Really?
When we moved to town, the model airplanes used to crash behind my house.
Wasn't it that fast?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we lived in fear.
That's why he
getting
wants a
out.
drone. That's why he wants a drone.
Some of those are big, so yeah. I could see
Oh, yeah,
that.
some of those bigger than a table.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, I guess this would, do I hear a motion to adjourn, conclude this meeting?
So move.
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye. I'm sure there's some skeletons of model airplanes out in the woods.
On those woods, yeah.